I'm so excited on this version of Author's Corner. And you know how much I love books and what a voracious reader I am. And this is why we have Author's Corner. But we're going to one of my favorite places, Australia. And this is the kind of genre that really pulls me in. And it pulls my hubs in too. So both of us are big fans of this. And we're fans of her book now as well, too. Bron Downs joins us now. She's written a book called Can't See Around Corners, and it is, okay, ready for this? Supernatural thriller is a great way to describe it. And I love the fact that so often when we talk about supernatural thrillers, yes, women are in them, they're female characters, but you got two really powerful, in a sense, female characters here. So I don't want to steal all her thunder down under, so to speak. Let's go to Bron right now. Hey, Bron, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Kate. That's my pleasure, and thank you for having me on your show.
All right, so supernatural thriller. I can think of some plots sort of in my head, but I think your plot was brilliant. And we don't want to give it all away, but you do have female characters. And just give us the gist of what the story is about.
Well, there's two fraternal twins, Annie and Sharon. They are born in opulent wealth. They're the only children of Edna and Warren Karce. And because they're the only daughters, they are the pride and joy of their parents. They've accomplished their studying for their degrees at university, and they eagerly look forward to their once-in-a-lifetime trip to Europe. Once the sisters are abroad, their love for one another is obvious to the bystander, but once they're overseas, malicious feelings dwell profoundly beneath their facade, and deceit and treachery and wickedness develop intensely between them. And with their overprotective parents absent, their relationship advances into the vilest possible nightmare, changing their lives forever.
Ooh, changing their lives forever. I like it. So they're born into wealth, and here you'd think it'd just be an easy path, but yet there's something that goes on between them. So how'd you come up with this story? Is this something that just kind of popped into your head?
Yeah, pretty much. I love supernatural thriller movies. I'm a bit of a movie buff. And yeah, I just sort of, the girls end up in Romania, where in Romania it's steeped with folklore, legends and myths. And this is where the supernatural side of the story comes into it, because with those legends and folklores, they come together with modern society and how these two stylish but spoilt sisters deal with the dark and mystic phenomenons they encounter while they're overseas.
Yeah, it's wild. And I know that we talked off the air and you mentioned to me this is your second book, but your first book was nothing like this one, right?
Yeah, that's correct. And my pen name's Josie Townsend. So if the listeners wanted to, purchase my books, it's not under my Christian name. I've actually got a pen name, Josie Townsend. So
I was just going to say that, Josie Townsend. So make sure that that's where you go for Can't See Around Corners. You can get it on Amazon. And the first book was something that happened that was real. So there are two very different kind of genres.
Yeah, there is. And they usually say that when authors start writing, they usually start writing something that they already know. And then I sort of stepped out of that little safe circle, writing what you know, into something more creative. And I came up with this story. So, and once the reader has read the whole book, the question for them to ask themselves is, what is real and what isn't?
Oh, I love that. What is real and what's not? Did you, when you had that story and you came up with the idea, did you find that, did it pour out of you? Was it easy? And I don't want to say easy, but did it just sort of pour out of you when you were writing this? Yeah,
pretty much, Kate. It was, the storyline was very definite, but it was sort of filling in the pages and keeping the story flowing. So as the reader didn't get bored or bogged down in one particular scene in the book. So it's very flowing, and I've had some really positive feedbacks from friends and family, and also critics stating that, it's an easy book to read. It flows, and it keeps you on the edge of your seat.
Do you have a thought of what you hope the readers take away from this?
Just that it was a really great story. I've had people say that while they've been reading it and they've had to put it down and go whatever, but what if they're not reading the book, they're thinking about it. They're thinking about the story, and if they're at work or they're out doing their, chores or whatever, they've said that once they started reading the book, they put it down, but they keep thinking about it, the story.
Well, that's the best compliment.
It remains in your mind.
Yeah, that's the best compliment you could possibly get, that people are ready to get back to the story if they have to go to work or they're doing something else, but they're thinking about it. And again, we want to make sure that you look under the right name. It's Josie Townsend, Can't See Around Corners. And of course, we're talking about the two sisters, supernatural thriller, and it's one of those can't put it down kind of things. And you said you really liked the supernatural world and that whole thing. Is there somebody that's a favorite of yours? Like I like Stephen King. I like a lot of different writers and movies.
Yeah, Stephen King and Steven Spielberg are my favorites. Yeah.
And your book is almost, this would be the wildest of the wild, but why not dream big? Your book would be suited to a movie, to a script. Did you think of that at all?
Yeah, I have approached, my publishers have approached the movie world people. I don't even know what you call them, but yeah. So I haven't received anything back as yet, but yeah, the book doesn't just go into a holiday and all these, freaky deaky things happen. It's also, there is murder in it. There's also a court scene in it. So there's other characters that come into play in the story. So it's not just about the two girls, but it's about actually it's quite in depth what happens to them in Romania and around Transylvania. So Bran Castle, Dracula's castle's involved in it as well. So yeah, and that's where the supernatural sort of starts to come into play in the story.
Isn't it funny how much the place that you go, it becomes a part of this? And I think of Transylvania, Romania as one of those kinds of places. And of course, it's been portrayed that way. So did that automatically come to you as, ooh, this is the place where they're going to go?
Yeah, well, I did a lot of research on Bran Castle, and a lot of supernatural, stories and films have come from that Dracula kind of image that Bran Castle has, based on Vladimir III, who actually owned the castle. And a lot of his trinkets, his rings and his necklaces and that, they all had a curse attached to them. So because he was known as the Prince of Blood.
Yeah.
And that's how Dracula sort of, So the supernatural side of my story comes from Bran Castle, but it's not to do with Dracula as per se. It's not to do with blood or anything like that. It's more a trinket that actually has a curse attached to it, and one of the sisters finds it, and she takes it as her own. And this is where all the supernatural trouble and problems and what happens thereafter is, because she'd actually possessed this pendant. And she'd sort of stolen it from the Bran Castle.
Ooh.
And that's where all her troubles start.
Ooh, a stolen pendant. That reminds me of things like, when you go to Hawaii, they say don't pick up a lava rock and take it with you. So what happens is the post office gets a lot of lava sent back to them because people think it brings them bad luck. So don't pick up the trinket in Josie's book, Josie Townsend's Can't See Around Corners, because it might come back to haunt you. So that's brilliant that you thought of that plot. Was it fun working out that plot? That's a great twist.
Yeah, I loved it. And as I said, I could orchestrate what happens to these two girls. I could orchestrate what happens to the other characters. Yeah, it was really, really interesting. I so enjoyed the researching Romania. It really wasn't a place that, you have on your bucket list. Oh, I want to go to England or I want to go to America. Romania is a place that's sort of a bit still in the dark and a bit forgotten, still sort of, back in old world time. And just researching that area, and that I just found that so interesting, and the Carpathian Mountains and that, for these two sisters to be, on their adventurous holiday, seeking out all these really old world sort of villages and the folklore that's, steeped in these villages. They really are, even today, still living back in time. You know what I mean? They're kind of, and you can see the time worn into their clothes and stuff, because they're still very peasant-like.
Yeah. Yeah, but the images are so vivid, absolutely, and you certainly paint them in the book. Can't See Around Corners, and again, you can get that on Amazon. Josie Townsend. When you were growing up, did you think you were going to be a writer?
No, I didn't. I used to write poems. I had a book of poems. That's how I sort of started writing. But yeah, I'm a bit of a geek. I like words, and I love the way words have the power to make you feel happy, sad, scared. You know, and if they're put together properly, they can give you all these different emotions.
Boy, isn't that the truth? And certainly, I think that's one of the takeaways of your book, that you will feel it. You will feel the emotions of the book, and that's why people can't put it down. It's the perfect time to read a book like this. And when people are looking around for something, look at this book, Can't See Around Corners. And I've said it now several times throughout the interview. You can pick it up easy on Amazon.com or any place where great books are sold. Josie, a.k.a. that's your pen name, Josie Townsend. Bron, thanks so much for joining us on the show.
Not a problem, Kate. Thank you for having me, and I hope you and your listeners stay safe.